Today, let's discuss about what is slowing down climate change mitigation. In 2014, scientists at Climate Tracker predicted that the Earth was on track to heat up around 4 degrees Celsius or 7.2 degrees Fahrenheit by the 22nd century. Although current policies and technological growth in clean energy reduces rate to 3 degrees Celsius or 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit, it is still not enough to avoid the most damaging effects of climate change and global warming. We can see that progress is still slow despite the many research developments we had. So today we're going to list a few reasons why. Public perception is crucial to the supply and demand of a low-carbon economy. Recent studies suggest that climate change skepticism has been on the rise in both Europe and the US. Generally speaking, there are 3 types of skeptics. There are the trend skeptics, attribution skeptics, and the impact skeptics. Trend skeptics deny that there is any upward trend in global temperatures. Attribution skeptics acknowledge climate change but do not think that human activity is the reason behind it. Impact skeptics accept climate change as a result from human activity but do not believe that it will lead to any serious impact on the world. Some additional reasons could be naive realism, disinformation, and motivated denial. Naive realism is the belief that your own personal experiences are the reality. For example, there are more climate change skeptics in Europe because they experienced an unusually harsh winter in the years 2009 and 2010. This information is kind of self-explanatory. Motivated denial could arise from political reasons. This could be why there are more climate change skeptics in the US because the divide between liberals and conservatives are wider. Although it may be tempting to say that the solution is to convince and educate these people, but the biggest problem resides with the large corporations and the governmental policies. So let's talk about that next. In 2020, several big tech companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google poured around $65 million into lobbying, but only 6% was dedicated to climate policy. These same companies also pledged to be carbon negative or neutral, but many people complain that their actions do not match their political capital. A study by Audrey Huan-Hsien Chu and Taiwei Wang showed that the market reacts favorably to the negative media exposure of corporate response to climate change, which implies that the socially responsible action to tackle climate change is costly. The sad truth is that large corporations think that climate mitigation is unprofitable. We must change how we act as a society to change the perspective. It may sound cheesy, but this is where individuals can make a difference. By supporting a climate-conscious company, we can prove to the big companies that being climate-friendly is worth investing in. Another way we can encourage reforms in large corporations is through the law. So let's talk about that next. The Paris Agreement is an international climate change treaty formed in 2015. Its goal was to limit global warming by requiring its participants to transform economically and socially. The Paris Agreement is a huge step in reducing climate change, but it does have some faults. One major flaw in the Paris Agreement is called the free rider problem. The free rider problem is the temptation to ride on the emission cuts of other nations. This problem can be found in India. Soon after India joined the Paris Agreement, India announced that they were doubling its coal production. India wanted to expand their economy and reduce poverty, but the fastest way to do that was to burn more coal. Countries like India proved to us that some countries benefit from the actions that cause global warming and climate change. Though the Paris Agreement is faulty, that does not mean we should completely replace it. Scott Barrett, the Vice Dean of Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs, suggested that we should cover up the Paris Agreement's shortcomings with slighter, more technical agreements. This way, we can urge more countries to participate and commit to stopping climate change. The points I talked about are not to discourage or be pessimistic. This is trying to encourage you. These points prove that we can't stop our efforts and we still need the environmental movement. This video was to remind you to be patient and understand that climate mitigation is much more complicated than just walking instead of driving. Hope you enjoyed.